What's up, everybody? Cat's fishing here. Welcome to today's episode. Today we are fishing on Lake Harriet. We are on Jonah's boat today. And Jonah, tell us what we're doing.
We're gonna fish for muskies today out here, and we're using little minnows on big hooks. No, in reality, let's put this thing on the board here, see what we're working with. Right there, just touch over 15.5-inch minnows. You know, a lot of guys down here will run a 12, 13-inch minnow. The reality of it is, we're fishing for fish over 40 inches. I mean, we all know the breakdown on what a fish can handle as far as percentage of body mass to their forage. So there's not a sucker you can put out here that's too big.
Gotcha.
So what I'm gonna do is I've got a rubber band on this circle hook, and I've got this on a threading needle. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna thread the rubber band through its nose, loop it around this hook a few times, and so that hook will just sit on the top of that sucker. I'll show you when we get it rigged up. And when we get a fish, it's going to be interesting because that fish will have to swim off with this sucker for quite some time, just because of the size of the bait.
Now, will this be free lining it? There'll be no sinkers at all?
We're going to run weights on one rod. We're not going to run weights on the other, and the reason we're not going to is the water's still really warm for this time of year.
What is the water temp right now?
I would have to get up on the front and look, but I would imagine that we're somewhere in the mid to upper 60s, which usually when we're doing this game, we're looking for water in the 50s, 40s, 30s, is kind of when it's the best. So you see how that minnow, or how that circle hook sits on that minnow's head right there?
Right.
But when that guy's in the water, he'll swim around, swim off, and we're, like I said, we're gonna let a muskie try and swallow that thing.
Wow. Now, will pike hit that too? Northern pike?
Absolutely. Or? There's a lot of pike in the mid 30-inch range in this lake. Let's get this guy in the water and see what it looks like.
So that allows him to freely move, and so this won't be on the bottom per se, huh?
No, it won't. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna let him just hang out for a second here.
So you'll kind of have him suspended
under the best bobber in the world. You know, you can spend all kinds of money on big bobbers and musky bobbers and cat bobbers. Go to the dime store, pick up a sack of balloons, blow it up, tie it on. So when you blow up your balloon, a little bit bigger than your fist, that'll be plenty of flotation to keep him from getting froggy. He'll be able to pull it around, swim, do whatever he wants. You know, because we're gonna run through these boats real quick, we'll probably set these guys down there, 1.6, 1.8, one about 12 to 14. We'll keep the boat in 14 to 18 feet of water, because the fish will actually suspend. Every buoy you see out here, if you want to pan those buoys, has a cable that goes to the bottom with a brick on it, so that it's vertical structure, right? I mean, yeah, it's not weeds per se, but it's still covered.
Right.
So
Okay.
bait fish. When we go past some of these boats, you'll see bluegills up there eating
right.
algae
Oh, gotcha.
off the boats and off the cables and all that kind of stuff. So let me turn on the clicker. Go here. And like I said, literally, you tied off the balloon, blew it up. Just tie a simple knot right onto the line. Don't tie the line in a knot though, because that's a giant pain in your butt. So then we'll just let out some line here. And that's metro muskie fishing. It's really that simple, guys.
Awesome, man.
Don't need a lot of equipment, don't need a lot of money. You know, you got the most expensive part of this whole rig is the sucker minnow. Those things are going to run you $8 to $14 depending on what store you're at, where you're at. You know, I snuck up to northern Minnesota yesterday and bought some cheap ones. But you know, like I say, suckers 10 inches plus will do the trick on this. The bigger the better though.
Awesome. I've never caught a muskie before, guys, so this is kind of another bucket list fish for me. So we're gonna go ahead and get all the rods rigged up, so stay tuned. Drop her down.
So that's the one on the weight. We'll run that one quite a bit deeper.
That's right. It's like a party all the time.
It is.
Now, do they hit like a freight train, or do they? Okay,
no,
so they.
they'll just pick it up and swim off.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they won't even swim off.
Right. You'll just see them.
They'll just see them. The bobber will just stop going, and the clicker will start moving.
Right.
And you'll pull up to them and look at them.
Let out a little more line on that bag rod, on that green handle.
What, line out? All right, guys, we've got the balloons out. Now we're just gonna wait. Is he on?
Yeah, you're about to see him. Watch this shit. Oh no, he's not on it anymore. He's gotta go. He's still there though.
Watch. Keep watching. He's chasing. Grab that other piece.
There it is. There it is. It's right here. You see that fish right
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
there? It'll be back. It's gonna go get on that other sucker.
Where's
If
the
it's
GoPro? It's right there on the chair.
It's tough in these boats just because there's so much stuff. I mean, that's probably a 40-something inch fish. 43,
Okay, so he's
45.
around those.
Yeah,
stuff.
he's still here. He's under the boat somewhere.
Yep, he's
So
fine.
that might be in weeds. It did get a little shallow. Just lift it up real slow though, and with your thumb on that. I didn't have him very good though. Had him right there.
Had him where?
Had him right in here. Had him right there. Had him there.
So explain what happened there, man.
So what happened was, fish took it. We're out on that outside weed line, and what that fish did is he grabbed that sucker, and they do one of two things when they grab it. They either hold tight and sit in one spot, and you'll just have a steady clicker, and the balloon won't move, or the balloon goes towards the weeds or towards open water. And when they go towards the weeds, you know, it's a crapshoot. Some guys will run harnesses.
It's 50-50 type thing.
It really is. You know, later in the year when the water gets colder, they'll usually just sit tight with it, and you'll see that balloon go under and then come back up and go under and come back up, because he's just turning that bait,
Right.
that sucker in his mouth, because they're always swallowing head first. It's just all pike do it. I don't know. You know, it's an Essex thing. Pike, muskies, they all turn it around. When the water's a little warmer, I mean, we still have 63, 64 degree water, so these fish are still super active. So what that fish did is he grabbed it out here on the weed line and went straight into the weeds. And what'll happen is when they go in the weeds, unfortunately we have a lot of milfoil here in Minnesota, so that fish got in that thick, heavy mat. I mean, the balloon probably has a pull weight of a half a pound maybe. Those weeds, you got 9-10 pounds of pressure on it.
Right.
And they go, something's up, they drop it, they swim off. You know, later in the year, a lot of these weeds will die and lay down. So then if they go shallow, we don't care. It's a little bit funny timing right now. We've had a really warm fall here, and it's just, things are still a little funky, but we'll get them back out and we'll see if we can get another one to try it.
Yeah, man. Been a little slow, guys, but persistence.
It's muskie fishing.
Muskie fishing. What do they call it?
The fish of 10,000 casts.
Or 10,000 hours of floating suckers.
Now, guys, we're kind of doing would you say this kind of unorthodox method a little bit?
It is.
Free lining it?
Yeah, here in Minnesota, we have what's called the one line law. A lot of states, a lot of you guys that'll be watching this will kind of scratch your heads and say, what do you mean? In Minnesota, we can have one line out per person. You know, states like Wisconsin, Virginia, other states where you can run multiple lines, a lot of guys will fish live bait like this. Minnesota, you don't see it much just because it is a really slow way to fish. Most guys don't have the patience, so they'll be throwing blades, you know, hard baits and things like that, moving baits, where we don't have that luxury to have a sucker behind the boat to pick up those follow fish.
Right.
And that's why a lot of guys will put live bait out in states where they can run multiple lines. Is you get a fish that chases to the boat, all you do, you know, a lot of times they'll come off that bait, they'll follow it in the 8, and they'll see that sucker in the corner, and then game on that sucker. We can't do that here, so you don't see a ton of guys doing this in Minnesota until real late in the year when it's too cold to use your hands to cast, because obviously wet line, things like that. So late Nov, you'll see it. Our season closes December 1st in Minnesota for muskies.
Really?
It was a new law in 2010.
So you guys can't fish from muskie after that?
We cannot.
Why is that? Is that just to protect the...
It is. It's to protect the fishery. We saw the Minnesota muskie anglers have a big push with some new regulations. We used to have a kill limit at 40 inches. That year we saw the limit pushed out to 48. And then now recently we've gone to 52 on a minimum length to kill. You don't see very many muskies killed in Minnesota. The purists really frown on it. And really, I mean, there's no reason to be killing a 50-inch fish, or even especially a fish in the 40s. They're not good for the pan. You know, and a fish that's that old or that big didn't get there by happenstance. I mean, they're old fish, they're smart fish, you know, and it's a heck of a resource we've got here. So You know, that and some guys frown on this live bait stuff. I love it. We're real ethical about it. You know, I ran harnesses for years, and it wasn't one of those things, let them swim off and swallow it. It was, as soon as you got a bite, we were turning the boat, we were on top of these fish, and a lot of guys kind of looked at me funny because of the way I did it, but we would get on top of them and lift them up and see where that rig was. If it was potentially in a spot where you couldn't see it anymore, we set the hook immediately. Even if we missed a fish, it wasn't worth killing one.
Right.
Now, I'm trying some new stuff today. We're running single circle hooks on rubber bands in the snouts of these things, as you guys saw in the beginning when we were doing the setup on it. I'm really curious to see how this goes. There's another angler here that's real well known, Larry Dahlberg. He has talked about this for years, and he's actually talked about catching muskies on no hooks.
Really?
Gonna try it later this summer. So basically you take a threading needle, you run a rubber band, and you put it on a snap swivel. You let it swim off and swallow it, and you bring the fish to the boat.
Well, how does it get hooked? Like, how does
They don't get hooked. They swallow it, and so you're just fighting that fish with the minnow. Skull. You get to the boat, you break the rubber band. That rubber band will pass. No
Never
harm.
seen that before.
Yeah, it's something I'm really curious about. I think it'll be good for the population of muskies. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about taking care of these fish, guys.
Right,
it's
definitely.
Just like all the big fish you guys have in your home states. There's not a ton of them out there, and the ones we do have, let's make sure we're taking the time to do it right and take care of the fish.
What do you got there?
Little pike.
Fish on.
Jonah loves those little pikes.
There you go.
And you're gonna get a hook in your hand.
I'm gonna try and do. Don't get in the GoPro. Don't get in the GoPro. He's like, I like the GoPro.
Nice, man. Now, we were fishing right in the heart of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Unfortunately, we were not able to catch a muskie that day. Water temperatures were pretty high this time of the year, but Jonah was able to get a nice northern pike on a lure that he was casting. But I still hope you guys got something out of this video. Even though we did not catch muskie, you saw the approach and method we were using to fish for muskie. I've never seen that before. Hope that helps you guys get a different perspective on fishing for muskie. If you guys have any questions about the rigging options he was using, comment below and I'll be sure to get back with you. As always, guys, give a thumbs up for this video and we'll talk to you later.